Welcome back to Colorful Voices of Sisterhood. Our lovely sisters are here today. It has been a great couple of weeks. Busy, very busy. As you guys know, I had my fourth annual Onslow Veterans Powwow, and it was amazing.
Yes.
On that Saturday, we had over 6,700 people attend.
My heavens, wow.
We are going to be outgrowing that space pretty soon.
That's
But
amazing.
it is good to celebrate, obviously, Native Americans. It is Native American Heritage Month, along with our veterans, to put them two together. Yeah. Because if people don't know, Native Americans are the highest serving ethnic group per capita that's been serving in the military since World War II.
Wow.
That's some
I
good
did
history.
not know that.
Yeah.
Some good history.
Yes. So very
Taking
proud
something
to
that was
serve.
taken from you.
Oh, yeah. And I did get asked that. I was in Our State magazine, and they asked me that, why do Native Americans serve at such a higher rate than other ethnic groups? It's because we want to protect the land. We've always been protectors of the land. We definitely don't believe a person should own land, because land's going to be here long after we're gone. Obviously, my tribe is the Sioux tribe and the Winnebago tribe in Nebraska. But the Sioux tribe were nomadic. They lived in teepees and moved with the buffalo. So there was no land that was specifically for a family or a tribe. It was just free roaming.
In a way, it's a legacy.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yep. So we continue to protect the land, but not so much for us, but for future generations.
Right.
That's what we fight for, to make sure everybody's free, because as you guys know, with Native American culture, we weren't free. Obviously we're still on reservations. People are amazed at that. We got reservations that don't have running water. It's really sad that the government still has reservations and not living up to the promises or treaties that they set for Native Americans.
But respectfully, the question that you've been asked kind of thrown me off, because this is you guys' lane. When they say why you guys serve as much you guys do, this is your lane.
Yeah.
That question kind of as a person what? I mean, I'm not saying they shouldn't ask, but someone that this is you guys' lane. This is what you guys supposed to do, protect.
I think they more so ask because we serve in a government that took the land and moved us on reservations and that stuff, but we still serve the government. But really, it all comes down to protecting the land and the freedom of the people on it.
Yeah.
So have you ever experienced, when you move from different location, that it's been no trespassing because someone else think they own the land?
Oh, yes. Yes. I know a big one was a couple years ago when they were trying to put that pipeline through the Dakotas, and they were trying to put it through a territory that belonged to Standing Rock, was the tribe. But once again, they got to protect the land. Putting an oil pipe through it could damage the water. It's going to go under the land that is around it, affect the people that live there. So they are still doing a lot of protecting of the land.
That lead to the election. How you guys feel about the election?
And I want to go back once we discuss that. Okay.
Yeah. The election, well, it is what it is. The people chose. What I find significant about this election is he won every category. The popular vote, the electoral votes, obviously. But that was surprising to me, because usually a person, if they win the electoral votes, they may not necessarily win the popular vote, but he won it across the board. So that kind of, to me, it presented that maybe our country wasn't ready for a female president.
That's all I got to say.
That's how I took it.
Even Latinos, almost 50% voted for him.
Yeah. And not saying anything about Latinos, but a lot of times their culture is it's masculine. Their culture is masculine.
The leaders and stuff, yes.
Yeah. So I think that really had to
ready
be.
for a female
Yeah.
president. But let's see what happens.
But
Yeah.
it's
You know.
very close though. Very close.
Oh God, no, he blew her away. It was, yeah. I mean, he
That's why
got
I was
his
so surprised
electoral
because at one
report.
point she had a big lead and all of a sudden stuff shifted. I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
Let's see.
yeah. But we'll see. But I know he's picking out his cabinet now. I just saw his choice for, because, you know, I'm military, so I really look for the Secretary of Defense. And I'm not too happy with that choice at all. Right now, that person is a news anchor on Fox. And I just don't think that person would have the qualifications to
For the military.
lead and guide our military into the future. So there's a lot of things that we'll just see how it plays
Yeah,
out.
It's still kind of early, so we'll
Yeah.
see how they work.
Yeah, so hopefully he picks out a good cabinet and put some good leaders around him so they can make the changes that they want to make.
Y'all know me and my faith. I'm definitely praying, God, you got a plan. You have a plan because I am not happy with it.
Oh,
None
yeah.
of it. But I do believe that God has a plan.
Yeah,
And I was telling somebody, I said, well, if I suffer, you're going to suffer too.
everybody
So,
will.
right.
Yeah, and I know I really believe that the economics had a role in it, but you know, and I was going back and you know, economics is my thing to figure out how that all works, but. Really, when you're looking at the pandemic and COVID and the shutdown and the supply and demand, I mean, it's just economics that the prices were going to go up, but they are starting to come down. So I think the 4 years that Biden, I think they call it Biden economics, but you know, over the 4 years, you know, it took them that long to get the economy to try to balance out. But so I'm hoping Trump's
It'll sustain it,
administration
hopefully, yeah.
will sustain it so it continues to come down. And I know after election, the Dow,
Yeah.
you know, had positive thing just overnight.
Yes.
You know, it's just crazy how
Yeah.
how people react to
Well,
stuff.
I was showing, talking with some people that I was talking with. It says, you know, you can't really, you want to blame one person for something. So whenever a president comes in, Trump, the last time when he came in, was working on an Obama plan. Okay?
Yeah.
When Biden comes in, he works under what Trump has. And then sets a goal. That's how it is.
Yeah.
So Trump really didn't have anything to go by because there was nothing really set. So let's see what happens now because
Yeah.
he has the opportunity to.
Yep. Yeah, and I'm hoping
We are
that
hoping for the best. Not really like.
Yeah.
It's,
I'm hoping they are taking the people of the United States into consideration when they make their policies and changes.
But take a chance, read this book called Animal Farm. And then let's talk about it.
Animal Farm?
Animal
Okay.
Farm. Read
Okay,
that
next
book.
assignment, guys,
Yes.
Animal Farm, and
Read
we'll
Animal
discuss
Farm.
it. Okay.
this book.
I think we'll
It's a
have a
book.
good 4 year.
Okay.
Yeah,
We'll
it's a
pray
book.
for it.
Yeah.
I do too, and I hope no more killing of my black people started happening again because of hatred.
Oh, yeah, we don't
That
need no
scares
hatred.
my culture because it was happening because of the hate. So let's just see what you said. Let's see if it's gonna work that way.
May I say something before we move? The way I see and like you say, hatred. Yeah, it surprised me also how people choose and react to things. But sometimes we miss the big picture. There were big picture that when it comes to voting, right? When it's not the fear of the woman. I don't think it's the fear of the woman. Americans, they're not ready for. Sometimes we are brainwashed. And look, now is another 4 years. 4 years. The hatred is already planted seed. And like you say, God has plans. Sometimes God show us through to people who we are, not only individually and collectively. And we will see.
Yeah, we just pray. I'm definitely putting the
That's what
government
we
back
can
upon
do.
God's
Yeah.
shoulders. I'm like, God, you already know.
Yep.
You already know. So
Yeah.
we'll look at that and keep going because I think people should everybody should be treated with a certain thing. But I felt her because I've been qualified for positions. And because of who I was and the standards I was as a black female, I didn't get it.
No.
And then I would let somebody else of another culture. I'm like, how can you tell me that? You are of another culture and you have the advantage that I don't have. I got everything and more experience and you want me to train the person. So I felt that.
Bias.
Yeah.
It's bias. I mean, we see that.
So not even in that category, but that's how I feel as a black female.
Yeah.
You cannot tell me because you're not a black female. I'm a black female qualified. No, I'm qualified because now you come to me and ask me to train the person.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Come on
bias.
now.
It is bias. Like let's face the reality, and knowing that what Trump has done to so many cultures, so many people, and he's still selected to be president of our country.
Well, we have a new president now, and
Well, no matter how you cut it off,
we'll see. We'll see this 4 years.
he's been president before. He's just
and
reselected
he did
again.
a great job as well.
Well, he didn't, but okay.
But I think with me it was just personal because I was like, oh my gosh, I've been there. I felt that.
Yeah.
I've been there.
Yeah.
The truth
And that's
is,
not even in, that's just life.
yeah, the truth is people pick and choose what they want. They really do. People pick what they want, but the end of
their
the day,
prerogative.
again,
That's
the
their
end of the
prerogative.
day, every choices we make, if we vote or whatever choices we make, is not only affect one person, it affects families, it affects the countries. So whatever choices we make is not only about one person.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah, yeah. And we definitely know that, but we'll just see how the next 4 years
Pan out.
and see. But I'm really, now I'm really watching on his cabinet, on who he's putting in those positions. I did see the Secretary of State. I think that is a good choice that he selected for that. I think that is a good choice. It's
I
just
like
the Secretary of Defense. I'm not keen on that. I think we need somebody with more qualifications to be in that, especially when you're talking about our military, which is the strongest force in the
Yes.
world. We definitely need strong leadership there. But we'll
Even
talk
with
about
the
that
president,
more.
Let's go with the local.
Oh,
I
yeah,
see them,
local.
I'm like, what in the world for local? Now, I believe in picking them based on qualifications. But when you go somewhere and you don't see no diversity,
Yeah.
I said, what are
Or,
we, 13% of African American people in the world? We're more than that. But you see no diversity in a lot of stuff.
oh, yeah, yeah. And you're right,
Local.
our local election, I totally agree on that. And then here's my thing about local elections is, you know who's doing the work and who's not. Why do you continue to elect people who've not performed in the last 8 years?
Right.
Change
big
has to be
question,
made,
yes.
especially in our community. I mean, our community is small. Everybody knows everybody, even though we're a large community. But there's so much stuff that our community lacks that we got the same leaders in place that hasn't made the changes that needs to be made in order to bring us up to where we need to be. Especially for the military that are in our community and are serving here. I mean, our roads, our schools, we ain't even got public transportation that is well here, but the
Right.
list could go on and on, but I don't want to dwell on that because we got a great topic today. Today we're going to be talking about runaways, which it's staggering the statistics on how many runaways are in the United States every year. Obviously, runaways become homeless a lot of times, or couch surfing, as you would call it. And a lot of them become trafficked.
Yes.
A lot of stuff happens to runaways, and they're so young and vulnerable. But we got a special guest with us today. We got Officer Taylor from the Jacksonville Public Safety Department here in Jacksonville, North Carolina. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah. Rudder.
Rudder, Officer Rudder. Taylor Rudder. Taylor's her first name. I knew I was going to mess that up.
No, it's fine.
But definitely, thank you for being here. We're just going to have a casual conversation about runaways and, especially what you guys experience from the law enforcement side. And we'll just talk about statistics throughout the United States on runaways. But if you want to let our audience know who you are, a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. So as I said, I'm Officer Taylor Rudder. I've lived in Jacksonville pretty much all my life. My grandmother graduated from Jacksonville High School, so we've been here for a little while.
Okay.
And my partner here is Officer Mumble.
Officer
He is
Mumble,
our
welcome.
therapy dog in training. He's about a year and a half old golden retriever.
Okay.
But yeah, so yeah, a lot of we do take runaway calls almost every day.
Wow.
Whether it's for a runaway juvenile or a missing person. So we kind of differentiate. We call juveniles who leave runaways and adults who leave missing.
Okay.
But yeah, almost every day our patrol officers are out there probably once a day, if not more, taking some type of, hey, you know, I can't get in contact with my family member, or hey, my kid didn't come home. And then sometimes it turns out that the kid's hanging out at their friend's house next door and they didn't realize.
Yeah.
Or just that, you know, the family members, their phone's dead and they haven't been able to get a new one. So that's how it often turns out, but unfortunately that's not always the case.
Yeah, yeah. I know with the statistics that I looked up, it said between 1.6 and 2.8 million youth run away from home each year. That's a whole lot across the United States, especially when you think about how many predators are out there or what can happen to a young person. Because the ages for a teenage runaway is what, 13 to 17?
Yes.
13 to 17-year-olds. And then I'm thinking about how I was when I was 13 years old. Oh my gosh, I don't think I could shop at a grocery store at that time. I don't know. But I can imagine leaving home, not knowing where you're going or who you're going to meet and what can happen to you at
You
that
don't think
young
social
age.
media play a major part in a lot of them running away now?
I would say it's definitely a big part. You know, they might find a quote unquote friend online, like, hey, let's go hang out in the park today. And, you know, they've been talking online for a couple of days. Now they think they're good friends, so they go and hang out, and then it's not the person they think it is. Or just, you know, now the social media is truly international.
Oh, yeah.
It's, you know, oh, well, I have friends from across the country, and you're going to say I can't walk down the street to go to the park? It's like, you're 13. I can come with you, but
Yeah.
yeah. So I'd say social media definitely plays a big part now. You know, because it's truly global, and you honestly have no idea who you're talking
Oh,
to.
yeah. I know I tell my children all the time, well, now they're 18 and 19, the youngest ones are, but don't accept a friend that you don't know. You know, you still got to know the person that you've met to accept them. But I know a lot of children are not like that. They just accept people who friend request them, assuming that there's good intentions
We're going
there.
to have a lot of followers.
Yeah, it comes down to a numbers game.
Yes.
So when you receive calls like that, what are the top reasons why they run away?
There can be a lot of different reasons. It can be, you know, a bad home life. So the child is trying to escape maybe abuse or drug use in the home. Or it could be something as simple as, you know, it is a good family, it is a good house, and the parents are like, hey, no, you can't go out tonight because you have to hang out, you know, you've got to do your homework. And the kid's like, oh, well, I don't want to do my homework, and then they just leave.
Oh, yeah.
So it can go both ways. It can be, you know, bad circumstances, or the kid being a kid and being like, okay, no, I don't want to do this. And then
Yeah.
they walk out.
And I think as a parent, you got to know your children, because I have, you know, two daughters. One lives in Charlotte and the other one lives in Durham. One is good at letting us know when she made it home. My other one, not so good. You know, so we're like, you know, a couple days, hey, did you make it home? Oh, I forgot to let you guys know. Yes, I'm home. But we got Life 360, so we know she did. So there's so many apps out there available where you could kind of track and know
Trace
where
them,
your
yeah,
children are. As a parent, I don't think there's nothing wrong with putting a tracker on your phone, on their phone, so you know where they're at all times.
Yeah.
So much going on now.
Yeah.
And you know, younger kids maybe who don't have a phone now, there are things like Apple AirTags where you can put it on their backpack, or even
Yes.
they might look like bracelets or watches, or where it doesn't look as obvious as a tracking device. So for kids who might not have phones, I know there are quite a few parents out there who do that too.
Yeah, yeah. And I'd love to hear from the audience on how you guys feel about putting a tracking device on your child. You know, my daughter went to Belize, and then she went to Greece. And I was teasing her that I'm going to put a tag on her in case something happens, especially when she went down to Belize. Because you hear horror stories about people going on vacation and not making it back home. You know, so I was very, very nervous about that. And got a message from her friend who she went with letting us know, hey, Andrea's... Oh, sorry, Drea. I just said her name. You know, her phone is not working properly. So we were like, wait a minute. Is this really her? You know, we had
Right.
no idea. So on her second trip, we gave her a code. You gotta have your
That's
friend put
smart,
this
though.
code in so we
Code,
know
yeah.
it's you, or a
Yes.
password or something.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, because we didn't want to go through that again, like we were like, oh my gosh, have you heard from her? Oh my gosh, is this really her? Who's this? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's scary.
And even on people that's dealing with dementia or mental health issues
Yes.
would be a good way to put a device.
Yes.
Because I see it all the time, missing person. Somebody walked away, you see it on Facebook. But I noticed, and I don't know if it's real high now, that parents sometimes will drop their kids off at the mall
Yeah.
and they go from one door to the other door.
Yeah, and beyond that, we don't know what's going on.
Right, that's right.
Yeah.
So have y'all seen a lot of issues with that?
On occasions, we'll get calls of, juveniles causing some type of disturbance in the mall, and, we get there and it's like, where are your parents? Oh, we're just here for the day. Oh, okay. I don't, and it does happen. I think it's getting a little better, but it's definitely, sometimes we'll get a call to one of the restaurants there. Yeah, we got a bunch of kids who are caught being crazy. And it's like, oh, okay. And, typically they're high school aged at that point. Maybe they drove themselves. Sometimes, though, it is parents just dropping them off. And it's like, okay, you guys have fun.
Do they run away from that point? Have you seen any runaways?
I
when they-
personally haven't. But I am absolutely sure that it happens.
Wow.
Is there a
So-
season that's higher than others with runaways?
I'm not sure. Personally, I'm not sure. But do you have any statistics for that one?
Yep, no, I'm looking now. It doesn't look like there's any stats on that. It does say, this is a good, the return rates on how many of them return
That's
home.
what I was trying to.
Yep, it says about 1/5 of runaways return home within 24 hours. So that's probably one that was mad and went off to his friend's house and
Because they get hungry, they need to go home.
they get hungry. Or the friend's mom is like, why aren't you going home?
So what about the one that most of the time they post on social media? Like I always repost it when I see, and they didn't find for a few days. They find the child, then they miss again. So do you guys get that a lot?
Yes, there are definitely some who are habitual runaways. So they will get called out there. Hey, she ran away again. Okay, so we'll take the report. We'll look at all the spots that she's been found at before, their friend's house. They'll come home, a couple days later, and then probably about a week later they run away again.
So I guess on those ones there, on the habitual runaway, so at some point does like a therapist come in and talk with them and see what?
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay.
So there are plenty of resources out there, whether we can refer them to them or like in-house resources. So like we have an in-house psychologist.
Yeah.
And we have a social worker, a substance abuse counselor. They're a fantastic team.
Yeah.
We've called them in before, like, hey, can you just sit down, talk with them, and see what's going on? But sometimes these kids they don't want to talk to us. They don't want to. It's I just went to my friend's house, or I don't want to talk to you. It's like.
Yeah,
And,
they
we
still
can't-
have
It's
to.
not that we can make them talk, but we have the resources, and of course, there's outside. We can refer parents to like, hey, maybe you guys can go seek another, a clinic that's in town, and go try to talk to someone who's not associated with law enforcement, or just try to some type of mental health help maybe. But it's definitely after a certain time of them continuing to run away, it's definitely that's brought up.
Oh, yeah.
So is there a program with both the children and the parent come together?
So there are probably a few clinics in town that specialize in something like that. I don't know any off the top of my head.
But that's something the parents would have to look into, right, and work on that. But it also says 3/4 return within 1 week. So when you're talking about gone for 3 days and then come home, then they go out again and come back. But it says less than 1% of runaways never return.
Do you think drugs or anything else plays a factor in that?
I'd say probably, especially as they get older. It's like let's say, now the big thing is vaping. So kids want to vape. They think it's a status thing. So they look super cool if they, if they're hitting their vape in between classes.
Oh, wow.
So it's parents might be like, hey, no, absolutely
cannot
not.
do
You
this.
can't do that. And then they get mad. So they want to hang out with the cool people as they
Yeah.
think that are allowed to.
So it's kind of similar to back in the day when we were going to school, the smokers.
Yeah.
The smokers had their own little spot that they went to smoke or whatever. And
Yeah.
those were considered like the cool kids or the bad kids or,
You know, ages between 13 to 17 is very crucial because
It
these are
is.
the age that they're very sensitive. They don't want to do anything.
very impressionable too. Very
Stubborn.
impressionable.
They're very stubborn. No, really stubborn. Like I have coworkers. She say that I don't want to say. She say her teenager daughter's like, ooh.
Wow.
She just want to hang them, and they very stubborn. Especially if, like you said, they want to be cool. They hang out with cool. They want to fit in, and not every children, like she say that run away because they have bad patterns. Sometimes they don't want to follow the rule because the people they hang out, they have influence, and because they don't want to do, they cannot do here. So now they have friends that they can say, hey, you can come here, let's go, and let's go this weekend. We have it's teenagers. They very I mean, I can speak from my own experience. When you make your mind,
And I mean, it's an important thing for parents to know their kids' friends, but of course, with
yeah.
social media, you might not end up knowing all of them.
Yeah.
They're not going to talk about the ones they hang out with to get in trouble with. But it's definitely important for parents to try to know who their kids are hanging out with,
Yeah.
and all their friends. So, like, instead of just saying, "Oh, Billy went over to Bob's house." Okay, well, what's Bob's last name? Do you know his parents' name? Where does he live? Do
What's
you have
the
their
phone number?
Exactly. So in case
Exactly.
it's like, well, he said he was going to Bob's house, but it's been a day. Okay, well, where's Bob live? Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
having that
wow.
information is definitely important.
That
have
is
to
scary
know.
for a
You-
parent.
Yeah.
If your son or daughter says they went somewhere and you have no idea who that is when they don't make it home. Oh my goodness. But here's the educational portion of it. It says that runaway youth are less likely to graduate from high school. So decision that they make as a teenager can affect them into
for
adulthood.
long term. And that's the reasons important is when your children tell you they're gonna go friend's house, ask I would like to ask your friend to send me her mom or her dad phone number, because that's why I tell my daughter, like, send me your friend her mom or her dad so I can talk to them. And I'm gonna drop you off, and then I'm gonna pick you. The same when they come to my house. Sometimes they have a sleepover. They come, we sit down, we eat, and they leave. So it's very important to have that. You're not going if I don't know the parents who they are.
Oh, yeah. And I think parents need to take a more invasive role in their children's life too. And, a lot of people say with social media now that, a parent can't, know what the passwords are, or, hey, someone's paying the bill.
Yeah.
They
That's
need to have
right.
access to
Yeah,
what
that's
that
right.
child, I mean, the parents are paying the phone bills, they're probably paying for that phone they got or the tablet they got or the computer they have. I think the parents, by all means, should know those passwords, know exactly who they're going with, who they're hanging out with. And I'm fortunate enough that my kids bring their friends over to my house, which I don't mind feeding a bunch of teenage boys as long as I know where my kid's at.
Right.
And that's
Yeah.
important
That's
for
always
me.
important. Call it the Kool-Aid house.
Oh, yes.
Welcome to come here. But so many parents now trying to become their kids'
Friend.
They're friends,
early
yes.
on. Instead of being the parent, the
Yes.
guy, the one that's setting some discipline.
Yes.
They're trying to be friends.
Yeah.
And that's what happens. So they
Yeah.
do what they do. But I was reading that a lot of runaways come from various backgrounds. So there's
Yes.
no wealthy, poor, whatever. Different backgrounds.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but there was a statistic that I got out. So obviously runaway rates vary by race and ethnicity, but Native Americans percentage is 12.9% of American Indians or natives have run away compared to 8.4% of non-natives. So to me, that's a very interesting
Yeah.
fact, especially since I'm native. But I could definitely see that, especially I talked earlier about the reservations. There's so much there's substance abuse and alcoholism that goes on reservations because there's nothing else. It's very desolate or an isolated community. So I could definitely see where a child or a teenager would want to get away from something like that.
Yeah.
But that was staggering to me.
As you mentioned, Diana, there are different category why children run, why they run. And what about for those that are being abused, the cause of why they run away. And sometimes it's children because of their parents separate. And sometimes, like you say, conflicts and drugs and sexual abuse, molestation, rape, and all that. So what can we do? I mean, we can focus on the children, but at the end of the day, it's the foundation of the family too.
That's true.
And if the family, they don't have a strong foundation, that's the result of what is happening.
So I guess, how would we as a community prevent our teenagers from running away?
How do we find out what's going on in the family? Why are they running away?
It's hard. Sometimes people is very sensitive, and family, they don't want to know. Other people, they don't want to know their issues, what's going on. Even if it's drugs, say children like seeing their parents and alcohol and drugs, they don't want to go out tell the neighbor, my mom, But the one responsibility is the parents. I need help. I want to be better for my children. So everything starts with family. It's hard. It's not something that you can go around telling people what is going on with your family.
Right.
And also, we as parents should spend more time, actually, with our children.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's getting to know the children and who they're
Correct.
with and everything. I was a nosy mom. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I'm the
I go
same.
through
I'm the same.
drawers,
I'd rather-
dressers. You ain't locking no door in here. I'm paying the rent in this house. You ain't making no payments.
I didn't do that,
So
Diana.
there's no doors locked
Yeah.
in, not in this house. Now, as they got older and stuff, they could, but
Yeah.
I was
But
one of
I
those.
question everything,
Yeah.
and I know my kids probably hated me for that because they're like, why are you always asking these questions? And I'll be asking some serious questions.
I'm like that, Raquel. And
Yeah.
I think one of my children is like kind of staying away from me.
Yeah.
It's just the love you show, though.
It's
hard.
right. It's
Yeah.
to protect
It's-
them.
it's hard,
It really
yeah.
is. So there is I want to put it out there, especially for the young people watching or parents, to share this number. But there's the National Runaway Safe Line at 1-800-RUNAWAY, and then they could also text for help. The number 4 and help spelled out. And it's a nationwide service offered by Safe Place to help teens connect to close locations where they can get immediate help and safety. So I think that's important that we also share that resource out there for families, especially I think as a parent, sometimes when your child is troubled. You definitely know that. And I think it's something to sit down and talk about with your child, no matter what age they are, to let them know that, this is something that happens in life. Should you find yourself in this position, there are resources out there. I think as parents, we don't talk enough about the resources available for children.
Yes.
Now, when they're in school, I just want to say when they're in school, maybe they can't talk to the parent. But there could be somebody, a
They
trusted
can talk,
individual
yes.
that they can actually talk to. Because if they're in a family abuse
Yeah.
situation, who do they go to?
Who do they go to?
Yeah, some children, they more feel comfortable to talk to an outsider than people in the family. Like sometimes they feel like they don't understand the one's hurting is there.
Right.
Like, so it's hard. Like if I tell you, you're gonna tell the person that hurt me. So therefore, I'm rather to escape than being here because nobody here, they are the one that's supposed to protect me is hurting me. So a lot of cases, children, they feel more comfortable talking to an outsider or they trust and they feel like shelter outside than in the house.
Yeah, and I'd be curious to know if this information is posted in high schools or middle school, whatever age group that is, on, we got the national number for suicide awareness or mental health, which is 988. I wonder if that's posted in schools so the young people would know
can
that.
come and talk.
But a lot of them probably are good with their phone where they can find that information out, but I think having something readily available for them
Or talked about.
might help.
Or
Or
maybe even in school talked about.
to
if you're
open
going
up the
through
door
this.
for conversation.
Yes. I think a lot of time with conversation is what's needed. A trusted conversation that even though I'm going to say this, you're not going to go back and rat me out. To be able, let's talk about it and figure out where we go from here.
Yeah.
I think that would be really needed in the school systems.
Yeah, I know we put a lot on the school system, but that's where children spend the majority of the
time.
day is in school.
But also, again, friends, people that, those children trust more friends that have similar. They tell their story. Okay, now you got me, you understand me. And most of the time, they're drawn to the same similarity they gone through. Now they're not helping
Attraction.
each other.
Right.
They're not helping each other. They just drawing each other to and bad path. Like, you know, I had son. He trusts more his friends because they were going through the same. As mother, it's not like he didn't trust me, but he felt like they understand him more than I can understand him.
Yeah.
And so similarity in
Yeah, the attraction, yeah.
yeah, that's the strong. I listen. It's when teenager. I can say this. Teenager, if they make their mind, they want to leave. They will leave, regardless. Not really until they have to come back. Some like you hoping to not get hurt in the middle of this process. They trying to get through. They trying to find themselves. But once they make their mind, they have to escape.
Mostly they come back.
The chance is they will escape until they have to face something that say, okay, this is not what I'm supposed to be. But if they make their mind, it's hard.
So in saying that, Carol, you read about human trafficking. So they get run away, they get tied up into human trafficking. A lot of time.
Yeah.
And then they cannot figure out how to get out of that cycle. Because now they're controlled by somebody else. And human trafficking is just the highest amount of money made selling an adult. And those kids are the age that they do it. So
Yeah.
I know in our area we do have human trafficking. Have you experienced a lot of it?
It's here. I haven't personally experienced a lot of it, but unfortunately it's truthfully everywhere. You'll see a lot of it off at places where there are major highways, or, you know, extremely busy cities, on the coast or stuff like that. But unfortunately it is everywhere, and it's something that anyone has to be cautious
Yeah.
about.
Yeah. And I really think the laws need to be stringent on those who are trafficking, but most importantly are those purchasing. If there wasn't a buyer, there wouldn't be a business, you know. So I'm just amazed at how many businessmen, lawyers, doctors, you know, that are looking for
Those little
Yes.
kids, little kids.
Why can't we post them like we post people that have sexual abuse people?
Because
Why
money
can't
is
they-
Hard. It's hard for me to comprehend. Why?
It's money.
know.
Kids against, these are professionals.
But I think that even people that abuse people, why ain't their picture posted? That you know, when they can pull up, I can pull up that sex person that sexual abuse kids in my neighborhood. Why can't I pull up that there's an abuse, somebody abused their spouse or somebody did trafficking? Why ain't that put out?
Like
I need to fight that law.
like she said, doctors, lawyers, all
Yes.
that, because they have money. You fighting money, you fighting justice. Like when you like Diddy, he just got how many years? Diddy, how many years he's been trafficking? There are so many people very known that involved with human trafficking. So people, like when we see outside, you will think, you will find, you will know exactly who's selling, who's buying. You don't know. You don't know.
They're right on
Those
your
are the people that they have
It's a
very
sickness.
standards. They're the one that doing this, and you will never. And then how you gonna fight those people because the money is speaking for them?
Or the status.
Exactly.
A lot of times, like people that do stuff because of the status, whether they're on their lawyers, doctors, where they're coaches or whatever they are, once they get that status, people kind of like overlook them for some reason.
They
Those
think they
are the
will
most
not.
abusive people.
You know, they're married, they have children.
children.
I have watched documentary. This guy, he's doctor, okay? He flew all the way Asia to just sleep little boys. He
It's
has
a
wife and
sickness.
children.
Yes, it is.
Like,
It's
come on
Power.
now.
It's power.
Why you have to go all the way when you have your own children, your wife, to... Why?
It's sad.
It's,
It is.
it's sickness. This has to be something mentally, something that must have to be wrong for you to go all the way to just collect those little boys. Like,
Someone asked this question. Is runaway a crime? If you run away from home, is that considered a crime? And how can you hold parents accountable, or should parents be held accountable?
That's a good question. That's a good question.
So, you know, in the state of North Carolina, the juveniles are considered anything under than 18. So there is juveniles then thus can't be arrested like, you know, adults can. However, we do have a juvenile petition process that is similar to, it would be the equivalent, but it's kind of like paperwork. So a juvenile detective can write out what we call a juvenile petition. And typically it's for an undisciplined juvenile. That's kind of a catch-all. So for someone who runs away once, probably not. For someone who's one of those habitual runaways because they want to, they might see something like that. And then it goes through like juvenile justice, the Department of Juvenile Justice. For juveniles who are running away from abusive households or households where, you know, it's drugs and alcohol and, you know, stuff like that, then yes, there are investigations that go into holding those parents accountable for the kid.
Oh, that's
And
That's
providing, you know, a safer place for the kid to be.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
good.
So I guess on that note, would the child go to a safe family member, go to foster care? I mean, what?
So that at that point, like social services, child
Okay,
protective
we'll
services
take it.
can get involved, and then they kind of work with our special victims unit to ensure the best for the child.
Child,
For the
okay,
child, yeah.
okay. And that's where I know the Guardian Ad Litem is a great
Yeah.
program, especially for those who want to do volunteer work in your community that's invested in children. That's a great program to be the voice for a
Yeah.
child that's going through a process like that.
But yeah, that's a good question. You know,
And it's great that you guys have all this program for them.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think it definitely need to be known that these programs are there. They are there
Yeah.
to help.
You know, and one thing that I'd really like to stress, so if there is, you know, if you're ever in a place where your kid or runs away, and you call us, there's some pieces of information that are extremely helpful for us.
Yes.
So of course, you know, you're gonna think of, oh, well, this is my kid's name, and this is his birthday, you know, it's 4 foot tall, blonde hair, blue eyes. Okay, that's great, and that's super helpful for us. But when we have to put that out to the public, they're not really gonna think about that. So your clothing description, what were they last wearing? You know, were they wearing a white shirt, black pants, black shoes? That's helpful. A lot of, you know, the general public's going to think about that a lot quicker than they are about someone who's 4 foot tall with blonde hair cut to their shoulders. You know, like we talked about, their friends. So just saying, oh, they might have went to Sarah's house isn't super helpful. But saying that, you know their friends' first and last names, exactly that address of where their friend is, their parents' phone number, so we can go there, we can knock on their door. Hey, you know, we're looking for Sally. Is she here? You know, we can come in. We can like, hey, when was the last time you saw her? You know, but as compared to just saying, oh, Sarah's a friend. Okay, where's Sarah live? I don't know. What's Sarah's last name? I don't know. It's not super helpful.
That's right.
Also making sure you have a very recent photo of your kid. So when we take all of this information, and the photo, we're able to, there's a system called, it's a national database, so where anyone goes missing, they get all put into this database. All law enforcement across the country is able to access it.
Okay.
So that way, if
That's
someone,
good.
even all the way across the country, happens to run into this person, they know they're missing from Jacksonville or from wherever they're missing from. So having an updated photo of what they look like, that way we can attach the photo, so it can be verified. Yep, this is who we're looking for.
That's good.
So that's super important.
Yeah. And probably markings too, like if they got a mole or
Yep. So knowing, you know, birthmarks,
tattoo or
tattoos, if they have any piercings.
yeah.
That's also really important because, you know, you might be able to take out your earrings, but you typically can't get rid of a birthmark.
Yeah.
Or if they have dyed hair or something like that.
Yeah. Very helpful.
And make sure it's not
We all get that
pixelated
number when they
picture.
call. Like, I think there's a number when there's a runaway or something. My phone go off. Everybody get that
Oh,
number?
yeah. Yep, I get that too.
Do you get that, Agnes? Yeah.
Yeah, because we had a gentleman
Alert.
last week,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Last week, a gentleman.
Yes. So there are,
Amber Alert, yeah.
Yes.
So
Amber Alert.
Amber Alerts aren't sent out, they're not sent out for every runaway juvenile though. They're typically sent out if there's a threat of them having been kidnapped or taken, but they won't necessarily be sent out for every runaway. Another important thing is, do they have, any health problems? Are they on any medication? Because then that could up it into an endangered alert.
That's what it was,
Yes.
endangered, yes.
So that way, let's say they have epilepsy, so they need seizure medication every day. So if they're missing, they're not getting that medication, that's a serious health concern that ups the priority. Not that a runaway isn't already important, but
Yeah.
saying that if they don't get this medication, they might have a seizure and we might not, they might not be able to get back up.
Yeah.
That's also really important. So being able to tell us what type of medication they're on, when was the last time they took it, do they have any health problems like that? That's also really important.
Oh, wow. So I'm assuming you guys have like a checklist, you go down and ask all
Yes.
these questions for
Yes.
the parents.
And it's very thorough.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we use the same type of paperwork for anybody, whether it's a missing person or a runaway.
Yeah.
So, it goes down from, are they a missing adult, juvenile, runaway? Are they endangered? Then, of course, their name, date of birth, their race, their gender, their address, their social, if they have a license, what's their license number, their height, weight, hair color, eye color, skin tone, where were they born? Do they have any scars, marks, tattoos, like you said? And then, like I said, what were they last wearing? What did they go to school wearing? What did they leave the house to the mall with their friends?
Yeah.
Do they drive? Do they have a car? What's their car look like? Or were they on a bicycle? What's their bicycle look like? Were they just on foot? That also helps. Where were they last going? Did they walk out the house? Did they go down the street? Were they last at the mall?
Wow. A lot of
Well, it's
information.
a lot
A lot of information.
The hard part is, I don't know, I didn't see him leave.
And that's also possible.
Something like that.
So then we'll
Or you
ask,
have that child that changes 5 times a day.
Yes.
and then we'll ask, hey, do they have a cell phone? Do you pay for their cell phone? Do you know what type of service they use? Because then we can try to
Track
paint.
with it, yeah.
Yes, we can try to triangulate where their cell phone last pinged off of.
Okay.
It doesn't work typically for phones that are only off of Wi-Fi, because I know now a lot of kids only have Wi-Fi based phones. They don't have actual cell service.
Okay.
But yeah, and then a big.
That's good to know.
Yes.
I did not know
Me
that.
neither.
Okay.
Wow.
And then a big thing is, let's say, they did only go to Sally's house next door. As soon as they come home, call us. So that way we can lay eyes on them and be like, yep, they're here, they're okay. And we can take them out of that national database. Anyone
Okay.
who's under 21, I believe, or might be 18 now, has to be entered into that national database within 2 hours of us getting what information we need.
Oh, wow.
So within 2 hours, they'll be in this database where law enforcement from across the country is able to if they get out with them, they'll recognize that they're listed as missing.
Oh, my.
So within 2 hours, how long do they have to be missing before I can report them?
If it's a juvenile, you can call us right then. Hey, she walked out the house 5 minutes ago. Okay, we're gonna drive around. We're gonna try to find them. Do they have any friends' houses around? Do they have any families' houses? No. Okay, so we'll drive around. You might check parks if it's a neighborhood. And we'll try that. And then another big thing is, let's say you have shared custody of your kid. So Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, you typically pick her up from school. Tuesday, Thursdays, dad does. Did dad accidentally pick her up today? Have you, it's sometimes, today's already Wednesday. It might feel like
Yeah.
a Tuesday because Monday was a holiday for some of us. So did he just, out of routine, go and pick her up from school? Have you tried that? Have you called grandma's to see if, maybe she went to grandma? Is there like daycare, or do they do any after school activities that they might have stayed behind for? So trying stuff like that too. But of course, if you think your kid's missing, just call us. It's the best thing to do.
Yeah.
Well, Officer Runner, I'm nosy. When you find them, why can't they tell us that this is where they were? I know you can't do that, but just like the young little boy that was missing here that was out there, I'm like, so they found him. They said he was underneath the steps, which to me still don't seem right.
Yeah.
That they found him underneath the steps of it. And
He found him under
porch.
the mobile home.
Yes.
He was in that mobile home park.
Doing all that bad weather, and it was cold.
It was cold that night. It was just, I'm with you on that one. I was
Yeah.
like, who questioned this guy? Where was he at? Did he really fall asleep under that mobile home?
And I mean, kids are resourceful. So let's say we do find her at Sally's house. She could tell us that's where she's been the whole time. Of course, our special victims unit, our juvenile, who typically takes juvenile cases like this, they'll probably be able to do further investigations into it. But depending on, they might be able to tell, oh, their cell phone tower said they were all the way across the city, or maybe they were at Sally's house the whole time. Maybe he was under there.
Yeah.
But
I'm with Diana. Inquiring mind wants to know what happened. What's the end result? Okay, he was found safe, sound, and everything's good at home. You know what I mean? 'Cause then I
and
feel
I'd
better.
also say part of that's up to the parent to
Yeah.
figure out where were you. But
Yeah, I'm with you on that, Diana.
There were any children that they were missing and they were hurt in the process that they were missing?
locally, I haven't had any cases like that. Any that I've done, one was hiding in a tree by their yard, like in the top of the tree, but they climbed the tree. And the other ones have come back home after a couple hours while I was still there taking the report, or a few days.
Oh, okay. And they
so-
were just mad, I'm assuming? They were just mad and left?
That's something I like
Jeez.
about US. You guys don't find children in 2 hours. You guys call 911. We don't. We just come at night. We go in the morning. We come back at night. In Africa, like we just go, come back at night. Nobody
Yeah.
call 911 and they don't look for you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's like
Stuff
my
like-
kids, I know they won't come home till like 10 at night, but they're older now. And then I got Life 360, so I
Right.
can see where they're at and what, where they're at and stuff. But I can imagine if you're expecting your child home though. So if I was expecting my son home and all of a sudden I can reach him by his phone, his phone's off or whatever, I'm calling his friends, texting his friends, his brothers, sisters, what you guys hear about. But if I don't find him within a couple hours, I will call 911.
I am just here sitting quietly, but there's so much in my head, like, I would like to spank it. Oh my gosh.
Some kids need it though.
Spanking.
Oh, my
They
God.
say that when you get whipping so many times, you don't listen anymore. You become stubborn. No, really. When you get so many whippings,
Oh my
they're gonna
goodness.
say like, "Whoo,
Don't think they're
I'm
not
gonna
in the
get good
Philippines.
whipping anyway."
Might as well do it, yeah.
Yeah, it just really they say that beating him like children like stubborn, stubborn like to not listen. Oh, I'm gonna get that anyway, So I don't think that's gonna help.
Yeah,
Agnes.
whatever we can do to
Not
try
in
to help.
America, maybe in Philippines
Yeah.
or Africa.
Oh, yeah.
She's gonna come get us. Listen, she's sitting with us, but if they call Agnes, she's gonna pick you up. So she
Oh,
right in
man.
that car.
What a great discussion, Diana.
Yes, great discussion. Thank you, Officer Rutter.
yes, ma'am.
Thank
Absolutely.
you, Officer Mumble, even though
He's
you
asleep.
sleep or whatever's going on.
Did we just bore him?
Yeah, we
He's listening.
But we are still looking for sponsors. If you guys are interested in being a sponsor, we're still looking for sponsor. But thank you for being with us today. Don't forget to like and share. We'll see you the next time.
Right on.
Good job.